joining us today. My name is Teresa Bukovac. I'm a registered Democrat, and I'm the founder and executive director of Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, also known as POW. Today, I am joined with several POW activists, along with life-affirming leaders and allies from across Chicago, with one resounding message for the Chicago residents of Illinois' 1st Congressional District. Elect Pastor Chris Butler to the United States House of Representatives. Since the very first time I spoke with Pastor Chris, I knew that he was the real deal. He is passionately progressive on issues related to economic and racial injustice, and he is courageously progressive in his opposition to the abortion industrial complex and their exploits. With more than 15 other candidates competing for this seat, formerly held by Representative Bobby Rush, it is critical that constituents know there is a truly life-affirming candidate in this race who is in it to win it, and that victory for Chris means victory over decades-long legacy of eugenics and abortion extremism. Chris consistently stands up for what is right. He is a fearless leader. He's a listener, a husband, a father, a pastor. And from the perspective of a progressive, pro-life person like myself, he is a hero. So on June 28th, let's elect Pastor Chris Butler to Congress. Thank you all so much again. I am going to bring up Pastor LaTonya Lambert. Yes? Good afternoon.
I am LaTonya Lambert, and I am a wife, a mother, I'm an associate pastor, and I am the director of communications for the people to elect Chris Butler. And I want to tell you today that there is a lot on the line with this upcoming election on June 28th. Lives are on the line. Say, lives are on the line.
Lives are on the line.
And we need to elect someone who values all lives.
Yes.
In Proverbs 4:23, it tells us, above all else, to guard our heart, because out of our heart flows the issue of life. The issue of life. So this issue of life is also a heart issue. And we have to all reflect in our hearts about life. And if we are quick to terminate it without any feeling of conviction, that is a heart issue. And so we need to elect someone who cares about all lives, who cares about Black lives, who cares about white lives, who cares about Latino lives and the lives of all people, rich lives, poor lives, working class lives. This is a person who cares about all lives. And what he wants to do in this pro-life movement and his whole life approach is to address our livelihood. He wants to make it so that women do not feel the pressure, the economic pressure, the lack of health care, the lack of affordable housing, and feel as though terminating a pregnancy is their only option. We have to change that narrative. So Pastor Chris Butler is the person to lead this conversation, to listen to both sides of the aisle, and move us in a better direction and make life better for us all. So on June 28th, let's elect Pastor Chris Butler!
Thank you so much, Pastor LaTonya. Next, we are going to hear from an iconic leader Sherilyn Holloway, president of Pro-Black, Pro-Life.
Thank you all so much for inviting me. Again, my name is Sherilyn Holloway. I am the president and founder of Pro-Black, Pro-Life. We are an international organization, and when I met Pastor Chris at the March for Life, I knew he was exactly what the 1st Congressional District of Illinois needed.
Yes!
Yes! He is here to help protect all lives, to help create a district that is not just surviving, but thriving.
Yes!
Pastor Chris is the one who's going to make sure your voices are not only represented, but heard. He will ensure that the consistency he has for a whole life ethic is evident and unwavering. To be pro-life for the whole life, to do what is right over personal rights is how we're going to bring stewardship to the 1st Congressional District and change a culture to one that values life from the womb to the tomb. Yeah. Elect Pastor Chris Butler. Woo!
All right. Next, we are going to hear from a local leader, Amy Gerke, who is the Executive Director of Illinois Right to Life Action.
Hey everyone. So as Teresa said, I'm Amy Gerke. I'm the Executive Director of Illinois Right to Life and Illinois Right to Life Action. And first, thanks so much for inviting us to be here today. So Illinois Right to Life Action is the legislative arm of Illinois Right to Life, the state's oldest and largest pro-life organization. So many people from the outside view us as this big conservative organization. Actually, a lot of our own members would view us as a big conservative organization. But that's not the case, and there are many reasons that we are here today. First, Illinois Right to Life and Illinois Right to Life Action are nonpartisan, non-sectarian organizations. The reason is abortion is not a liberal issue or a conservative issue. It's not a Democrat issue or Republican issue or even a libertarian issue. Abortion is a human rights issue. Just like every person of good conscience, no matter what side of the aisle they stand on, can agree that slavery and the Holocaust, things like that were horrible human rights abuses. Everyone, no matter what their political affiliation, should be able to agree that abortion too is a grievous human rights abuse. Every abortion brutally takes the life of a preborn child and leaves his or her mother irreparably scarred. Second reason we're here, if we're going to end the horror of abortion in our nation, it will take every pro-life advocate of almost every ideology to change the hearts and minds of this state and of this nation to favor life. Life is what unites us. The fact that every human being possesses inherent dignity and deserves protection. It is incumbent upon all of us to make abortion not just unlawful, but unnecessary and unthinkable.
Yes.
That brings me to the third reason I'm here today. Pastor Chris Butler, the candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives in Illinois' 1st District, has a bold agenda to do just this, to make abortion unnecessary and unthinkable.
Amen.
Pastor Butler understands that to build a culture of life, we must build a culture that welcomes life. Mothers need affordable housing, a living wage, childcare, health care, and more. All things that Pastor Butler will fight for when he's elected to Congress.
Yes.
Furthermore, Pastor Butler's stance on abortion reflects what the vast majority of Illinoisans and Americans believe about the issue. Many Democrats, under the leadership of Governor Pritzker, have turned Illinois into a haven of abortion extremism, and left unchecked, this extremism will spread across America. What has Governor Pritzker done? Well, here in Illinois, little girls can now have abortions without their parents even being notified. Abortions are legal through all 9 months of pregnancy. Under Governor Pritzker's leadership, abortion, which is of course always deadly to preborn babies, is now incredibly dangerous for women as well. Coroners are no longer required to investigate women's deaths at abortion clinics. Nail salons and tanning salons face tougher health inspections than abortion clinics. In fact, abortion clinics don't even need to be inspected by the state anymore. Governor Pritzker claims that he's fighting for women and that he trusts women. Governor Pritzker, you don't even respect women. Pastor Butler knows that the Democrat Party under Governor Pritzker's leadership does not represent the values of Illinois' 1st District or of Illinois as a whole. He knows that the violence of abortion cheapens life and exacerbates the violence on our streets. Pastor Butler will fight to restore protections to women and children. He will make sure that women have the resources they need to choose life. He will fight to make abortion unnecessary and unthinkable.
Yes.
Pastor Chris Butler is the future of the Democrat Party. He's the future of Chicagoland and of Illinois and, well, of America.
Yeah.
Pastor Butler, it is such an honor to know you, and Illinois Right to Life and Illinois Right to Life Action stand firmly beside you as you fight to make America pro-life once again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. Sorry, I did the thing I told everyone not to do. Next, we are going to hear from the director of the Chicago March for Life, Kevin Grillo.
Oh yeah, we're ready. Who's ready to rally, march? Who's ready to speak up for life? Are you here? Yeah, that's right. We march, we get loud, we stand for life. As a friend, I've seen the tragedy and the dire impact of sitting with a friend who was forced to do an abortion, the impact from that. This is pain. This is close and personal, and it's right here in Illinois in our communities. As a husband, I'm outraged that Illinois leaders have repealed common sense health practices in regulating abortion clinics. As a father, I'm astounded that leaders would repeal parental rights right now. How can the leaders stand in between parents and their children? I have a daughter, I have sons. Whether the state wants to get in between me and my children, that is not the direction of a country, of a state, of a location, of a district that thrives. Because at our basis, we are communities and we are families. And as a human, I stand with other humans for the basic concept that life should be protected, especially for those who are vulnerable. This is a basis as a friend, as a husband, as a father. I stand as a longtime Illinois resident. I stand here looking to civic leaders and to stand with civic leaders who stand up for life. No matter the cost, no matter the challenge, but those who look forward to the future. And they tell others, Illinois is not a place to come to destroy your family. No, this is not a tourist destination for that. No, we must turn the ship around and lead towards a place where people come to Illinois to raise their families. Just like Pastor Butler is doing right here and like he stands for others to do. This is not a place to destroy families, but to build them and build them up into a culture where we respect and love life. And we are pleased to do so, to stand here with people who are gathered here with thousands that are rooting for Pastor Chris Butler to bring Illinois and our nation back towards a place where we respect life. Thank you.
All right, we've got a couple more speakers. We have Tom Woosley from Students for Life of America with us today.
Hello. Thank you all for being here. As she said, my name is Tom Woosley. I'm the Regional Coordinator of Students for Life of America. We work very often with students on high school and college campuses. We work to instill the truth about abortion, about the value of all human life without exception, and with working to provide assistance to women in need with pregnancy resources free of charge. And we work legislatively to instill change in our state. Now, I'm here in support of Pastor Chris Butler because he has already taken it upon himself to do all of those, even before he's taken office. He has spoken at length about the importance of valuing all human life. He has come personally to many events that we've had in support of pregnancy resource centers to provide women in Illinois with the resources they need to raise a family. And if he is elected, I know that he will do everything in his power and more to make a legislative change across our state so that this will be a state that people come to raise a family. I'm so happy to be here and support Pastor Chris Butler.
All right, before we bring up the man of the hour, we're going to make sure that this community can hear us, because a lot of people think that you can't be Democrat and pro-life.
Right.
But look at all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
I want you to repeat after me. We want a pro-life Dem!
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 All right, now repeat after me again. Elect Chris Butler!
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 Without further ado, Pastor Chris Butler!
Thank you so much. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Powell. Thank you for all of these wonderful folks who have gathered here today. Before I say another word, I want to introduce you to the power behind my life, a woman who I follow on this issue and so many others. I want you to greet my beautiful bride, Aziza Butler. And all 5 of my wonderful little children are here today to join us as we stand for a pro-life Democratic Party. Now listen, I want you to know today that we are gathered here today, and the folks that you are looking at, we are boldly anti-poverty. Somebody ought to say amen.
Amen!
We are fiercely anti-racist.
Amen!
We are firmly anti-war.
Amen!
We are courageously anti-death penalty.
Amen!
And we are totally anti-abortion. You're looking at a crowd of people here today who are pro-woman, pro-black, pro-healthcare, pro-union, pro-justice, and completely pro-life. We come here today to say that there is room at the table for pro-life Democrats. There is room at the table for pro-life progressives. If this beautiful woman that I'm standing next to today can spend her time in the classrooms of Chicago's public schools, can work the streets of Inglewood, doing anti-violence work, if this black beautiful woman here can do all of those things, then there must be room for her pro-life voice at the table in the Democratic Party. If Fannie Lou Hamer, through so much difficulty, can make herself the matriarch of modern civil rights and found the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party and still be pro-life, then there must be room at the table for the legacy of Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer at the Democratic table. If the Church of God in Christ, the largest black denomination in these United States, can be firmly pro-life, then there must be room for pro-life voices at the table in the Democratic Party. And if these leaders here today who have marched against war, who have struggled for health care for all, who have been on the front lines combating violence in our own communities, if we can be pro-life, then there must be room for pro-life voices at the Democratic Party table.
Yes.
Even if you are not a pro-lifer like I am, if you are a Democrat, if you are a progressive, then I tell you today, you want a pro-life Democrat in the next Congress.
Come on.
Because I can tell you one thing about pro-life Democrats and pro-life progressives. We are not afraid of the establishment of this Democratic Party. Would to God there was just one more voice in the Congress that was not afraid of the establishment leaders in our party, when those same establishment leaders who want to make abortion the reality in our country were refusing to challenge corporate price gouging that is fueling this inflation. Would to God there was another voice in the Democratic Party who was not afraid of the leadership when they sat idly by for a generation while corporate Democrats teamed up with corporate Republicans to offshore American jobs and to make our supply chains weak because of just-in-time delivery, who busted up the unions and took away those jobs. Would to God there was a voice in the Democratic Party who was not afraid to lift his or her voice against the establishment leadership of this party. Would to God there were another pro-life Democrat unafraid of this establishment for a generation while we dragged our feet and dragged our feet on transitioning from a current economy addicted to oil to a clean energy economy. Would to God there was a pro-life progressive in our party. Would to God there were another voice unafraid of the leadership when we chose to sit there and make the expanded Choctaw credit permanent. I mean temporary instead of permanent. Would to God there were another voice there. Friends, even if you are not pro-life, if you believe in the legacy of a big tit Democratic Party, then you need to support Pastor Chris Butler. I want to give you the realities of this race. We are headed into a Congress that will be a closely divided Congress. We are headed into a Congress that very well may be a Republican-controlled Congress. And the last thing we need in the 1st District of Illinois is somebody to go to Washington, D.C. and join the chorus of controlled voices that is currently the establishment Democratic Party. Friends, I got in this race because I want to put families and communities back in the middle of our policy making. That means that we've got to extend the expanded child tax credit. That means that we've got to get off of oil and get to a clean energy economy. That means that we need to close the wage gap between men and women. That means that we need health care for all. That means that we need quality, affordable housing for all. That means that we need to finally end war and violence in this country and in this world. And it means that we need to make abortion unthinkable and unattainable in these United States. If you think any of the other folks in this race are going to go to Washington and do those things, you got another thing coming. But if you want somebody who is unafraid to stand against the chorus of control voices in our party, who can stand against the chorus of control voices that are in the other party, then you want to vote for Pastor Chris Butler. If you want somebody who can put aside differences and get together with folks in the Republican Party and make our economy, make our nation, make this world work for working people again, then you want to vote for Pastor Chris Butler. I thank you so much for being out here. We've got 12 more days on this campaign, and that's a long time in an election cycle. So I want to encourage you who are here today, you who are watching online, you who will read about this in the news. I want to encourage you to go to electchrisbutler.com. Sign up to volunteer. Sign up to make some calls. Make a financial contribution, because we have within our grasp a seat at the table for pro-life Democrats, for pro-life progressives, who will make families and communities the center of our policy making once again. God bless you, and God bless these United States.
Such a hero. I have goosebumps. I'm sure you do too. All right, look, we got to remind them one more time what we want. We want a pro-life Dem!
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 Elect Chris Butler!
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 Thank you all for joining us today. my gosh.